Hello, everyone. Welcome to our free webinar about ISO 27001's new version 2022. Today we will be talking about what has been changed about the new version of the standard, why the change, and which controls has been changed and how. Before starting, let's talk about who we are. About CFE-Cert, CFE-Cert is accredited by both the UK Accreditation Service, UCAS, and the International Accreditation Service, IAS, and we operate in numerous countries as well. We offer a wide range of comprehensive services that includes both auditing about certifications, trainings, whether it's awareness or internal or lead auditor trainings, with again CPD or IAS or ABC accreditations, and we also do gap analysis for companies that wants to enhance their information security management systems or any other management systems. Who we are is, my name is Tolga Uysal. I graduated from a cybersecurity department of Bilgi University. And since the beginning of my career, I have been involved in both KVKK, which is General Protection Regulation in Turkey, and GDPR. And also the standards such as ISO 27001, 27701, 22301, 20001, 9001, and I am a certified DPO for GDPR. And also Mr. Halis will be joining me for today's training, which he can explain himself even better than me.
Thank you, Tolga. Hello, everyone. My name is Halis Doğan. I'm the lead auditor, trainer, and consultant about information security management system, business continuity management system, privacy management system, and IT service management system, even the GDPR, and also the local general data protection of the Turkish is KVKK. I'm the lead auditor about last 5 years, but in the IT sector, almost 20 years I have an experience. About the 15 years, that part of the 15 years is IT manager, director, and similar positions. I have completed my master education about the management information system, and thank you for joining and also welcoming your questions for now.
Before starting the training, it's better to say at the end of this webinar, we will be sharing a link to our quiz, which consists of 5 questions. And if you answer it well enough, we will be giving you a certification as well. So please bear with us till the end and join our quiz. Okay, our today's agenda is about renewed structure of the ISO 27001's new version, which is 2022. Key changes to the main clauses, it's 4 to 10. Structure of the new Annex matters, Annex controls, how we can manage our transition from 2013 to 2022, and our obligation to conduct a gap analysis, which is most crucial part because without a proper guidance, our new measurements put in place maybe coming for a vein, and that's why doing a true gap analysis would be more beneficial, both spending our resources, using our resources, and complying the new version of the standard even better. So why is the new 27001's update was it necessary? So as we all know, technology is a thing that always evolves itself, and changes are always coming. So to address a global cybersecurity challenges and improve the digital trust and improve the certifications itself, certification trust for itself, ISO generally updates itself every 5 years or so. But it was but new version of the 27001 came a bit late than we expect because of the pandemic situations happening worldwide. So the updated version was expected. Matter of fact, it was a little bit late, but again expected. But what's surprising is the changes that came with the new version of the certification. We changed the name, we added some new controls, we merged some of the controls, we even changed some of the controls numbers, and we and they tried some new tables, some new attributes to even get a better understanding for all of the companies who try to be in compliance with it. First of all, like I said, the name changed with the new version. It was Information Technology Security Techniques, if any information security management systems requirements. But with the new version, we now have cybersecurity and privacy protection as well. This came because the upcoming GDPR and similar regulations about personal information and the necessary protection of it, and always changing in the technology and new cybersecurity threats make the ISO 27001 change its name and its context also. So the name has now cybersecurity and privacy protection in it as well. ISO 27001 changed its approach to the requirements also. The older version was purely about information security and continuity of the management system itself. But like we said, now cybersecurity and general protection of data has more importance in the certification standard, and even give the name of the certifications itself. We have some change controls. When we look at it in the as a number, we see less control number than the older version. But actually, because they merge so many controls together, they even were able to add some new controls as well. I believe 11 new controls were added, and the headings also changed. Headings changed because the importance of the protection comes in two different principles to the ISO 27001. They think that we can have vulnerabilities, we can have incidents from two main headings, and that's why they leave the 14 heading version of the standard and just focused on what's important and where our risk could come from. Also, we always had at 27002 version of the standard, but 27002 is not actually a certifiable standard. It's just a guide that helps us and the companies to better understand the annex controls and have a better chance of actually complying with it. It contains guidelines for applying each and every control, but again, it is not a criteria for the audits to become for ISO 27001. As we discussed, the structure changed, but the main clauses didn't change at all. They just add planning changes in the clause 6, because we were only talking about changes about the ISMS in the 12th Annex 12. I'm sorry, Annex 14, and that was regarding the software development changes. So with the new version of the standard, we now have to plan changes all together happen in the company with all the departments in it. So that's a good showing of giving importance of the changes and the potential risks from the unplanned changes in the company. New classes, subclasses, ISO 27001 2022 has also added some new classes as we speak. 11 new controls were added, even though the total number of the controls were less than the older version. We now have new controls for cybersecurity and some for the general protection of the personal information. Newly added controls were, as you can see, under risk or audit or reviewing the ISMS in general. One subclause, the order of just one subclause were changed as well. I believe this is due to the importance of the subclasses, because continually, I believe ISO 27001 or ISO thought that continual improvement of the management system is more important than the non-conformities and corrective actions taken by the companies, or just the order of the actions is more suitable in the new version. So now continual improvement comes first, and then the non-conformities and the corrective actions. With the new version of the 27002, we have a table for attributes as well, and that attribute table gives us the answer of the question: what are we going to need this control or clause for anyway? So in the 27002 standard, we can see why we have each and every one of the controls, and why is that control stated in the standard at all. And they do it in the 5 different headings. They say the control type, so if it's a preventive, if it's a defensive, so do we prevent something from happening, or we defend ourselves, something already happened, or what principle of the information are we protecting it, like the confidentiality, are we protecting the confidentiality of the information or the integrity of the information? Or we can discuss the cybersecurity concepts. We can identify it, we can detect it, or we can intervene it. Like if an incident is happening and we detect it, if it is happening at the moment, how can we intervene is also stated in the standard, and we can see it from the attribute table. Also, which departments, which processes should be covered or should be included in the control is stated in the attribute table as well, such as the security areas also stated. And with the cybersecurity approach, we see that ISO generally accepts the NIST security framework, because the NIST security framework is so much covering of the SOC2, ISO, and other management systems in its own framework. ISO 27001 also benefits from the framework, NIST framework itself. So we got the specifications, protection, identification, and intervention and rescue concepts from this framework, and thus we now have a few controls against the cybersecurity threats also. The classification of controls given in the Annex Clause 5 to 8 is referred as human, physical, technology, and organization. As you can remember, in the 2013 version of the control, we had 14 or 15 clauses under Annex A. But they were hard to understand by the companies who tried to be in compliance with this standard. So now ISO just refers that you can only have four different vulnerability sources, and that's why you should place your resources for the 4 different vulnerability types, and these are human, physical, technology, and organization. And when we look at the number of controls under the headings, we can see which one of the controls is actually a bigger threat to the company as well. since we all know the most of the successful information security incidents or attacks are because of the human error. It's either the lack of awareness or harmful intent of the employee or user. The most number of controls is under human, and the technology, because it's always evolving and because the companies tend to be don't want to spend that much of a budget to protect its technologies or protect its systems. We see 34 of the controls is under technology, and the number keeps on getting lesser as the headings go. So what has been changed? We have we didn't lose much in the original standard clauses. We only have some updates, and those updates are, I believe, in the best version of the standard stuff, because those were the questions that we as auditors received the most. So they updated some of the context of the organization controls, and they said what they said is going to be our next agenda after these slides. So we have some new updates and new articles under the planning as well. So risk, context of the organization, and the performance management and improvement of the standard or management system itself gets the updates or the new clauses. And what has been changed is they just added few sentences or changed some few sentences to help us better understand the control itself. So understanding the needs and expectations of the interested parties is actually a company to just evaluate itself according to its relative parties, both internal and external, and just type down what they expect from us and what we expect from them, what we do, how can something that we do can affect them, or how can something they do can affect us. So they just add the C ladder at the end of it, which said which of these requirements will be met through the information security management system. So now we are not just going to be blindly typing whatever they expect or whatever we expect from them. We will only need to type what the information security management system of the company expects from a certain party, or what certain party expects from the management system, and that's it. Or the 4.4 now added that now added as a security measurement for the management system, and states that a company should be moved in accordance with the requirements of this standard, and that clarifies some things for this ISO 27001 in 2013 version, because 4.4 control was usually just passed through, but now it makes us obliged with all of its requirements to the point that it's applicable for us. The risk treatment or risk management in general had the most changes in the standard clauses. So now we can see the statement of applicability now includes some other types of lines as well. Most of it are the same, because we already had to state which control matters that we are going to be comply with and why. But now we have to make a system to how to measure it as well. So as always, statement of applicability document must be documented, and documented information should be retained for risk handling. And that risk handling document must be in compliance with the risk inventory and the statement of applicability document as well. And we now have an obligation of monitoring the objectives and plans of the management system also. So in the older version, we already were measuring and monitoring the system, but now it's a requirement from the standard, and it makes us created evidence, documentation form of evidence as well. which information security objectives are planning to achieve them is also changed a little bit. So now we have to retain for information security goals as well, and we have to document it and keep it as an evidence. And a new edit clause, planning of changes. Like I mentioned, we only had control for the changes of the company in the 14th control, and that's more of a regarding about software developments. But now we have to keep track of the changes throughout the management system itself. We have an updated control under the communication. So now just stating who will communicate with who under what circumstances is not enough. Now we have to state how we can communicate with that stated party as well. So actually doing the risks part in the 8th clause, 8.1 in specific, we now have a determination of criteria of processes must be stated in the risk inventory, and implementation of the controls of processes in accordance with the criteria. This doesn't change much of the risk inventory that we already had, but it reduces the number of different information security risk inventories and just makes a general idea of how a risk inventory should be. And that's an improvement for the management information security management system, because the most of the common things that we face as an auditors is so different types of methods were implemented as to be in trying of compliance with the standards. We also had an update on 9.1 monitoring, measurement, and analysis evaluation. We now have a new updated sentence in it: methods of monitoring, measurement, analysis, and evaluation to ensure valid results. The methods chosen must produce comparable and reproducible results to be considered valid. So now just monitoring and keeping a simple table is not enough. Now we have to monitor and expect some resolvement and some improvement, and we also plan those improvement as well. So it's got a little bit complicated, but it's for the better of the management system. Internal audit isn't not that much change. We already need to do the internal audits. Now the organization should conduct internal audits as planned interviews to provide information on wherever the information security system is appropriate. But now we also have to audit the processes as well. We now have four process audits that should be in place. Management review input has some update. It says that changes in needs and expectations of interest parties that are relevant to the information security management system. The companies that are complying well with the information security management system already had that my headphone just closed itself. The companies that comply well with the information security management system already had that control under the management review inputs. But now all the companies has to be in monitoring of the changes that are happening regarding the company itself. And the results are always must be evaluated by the managers. And after that point, I believe Mr. Hollis would be happy to explain the details of the new changes of the ISO 27001 2022 version. So I'm gonna let Mr. Hollis to share his own screen and move on from here. Halis, your mic is also closed.
I'm just trying to prepare my screen. Thank you very much, Tolga. And then let me do. Okay, I can just pass through on it what you shared information, and then reach to.
Maybe you are sharing the wrong screen at the moment with the notes in it.
Just a moment.
Yeah.
No, it's okay, right?
Yeah, that's the right one.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. And then, okay, this one is 10.1 is control improvement. I can continue with this one. So this part didn't make any changes actually, just the 10.1 and 10.2 number are switched the numbers. There isn't any changes if we compare with the X and old standard. So if I would like to say a couple of things, what we're expecting 10.1, the non-conformance is that the SMS requirement is not met. Requirements are needs to the expectation that are stated, applied, or mandatory. And so about 10.2 non-conformity and corrective actions, there are no changes even on it. So X standard is covering all these, what we did at the moment. We will deal with the non-conformity and corrective actions as what we did. So like during the audit, if you internal audit or the external, if you find some non-conformities, we have to still take care of it with with root cause analysis and preventive actions and so on. So the methodology is as same. So if we look at the changing of the categories, on the old version we have 14 categories, and under the 114 sub controls. At the moment with the new ones we have 4 categories, and which is organization controls, people controls, physical controls, and technological controls. And all these controls had 11 new controls, which are threat intelligence, information security for use of cloud services, ICT readiness, physical security monitoring, configuration management, information deletion, data masking, the data leakage, monitoring activities, web filtering, and secure coding. I will go in detail when we are getting to each controls on it. So as I discussed, as I tell, there are at the moment we have 93 control, and these of them is 11 control is totally new, 23 of them is changed, and 24 is unified controls. And X1, as I said, is 114 controls we had before. So if you look at the detail of the new controls, which part is covering is technological part, as you may see on my screen, is there are 10 controls totally new in the technological controls. It's configuration management, information deletion, data masking, and organizational part just the threat intelligence, information security of the cloud services, and ICT readiness. And physical controls, just we have physical security monitoring. So if you look at on the capture on the X version and the new version, you may see of the names is changed. What is it? Information security controls reference. As before, we are we saw that reference control objectives and the controls. This name is changed. At the moment, we are use of the name information security controls reference. And then if you look at the detail a bit, on the X version, we are using should. That means is the selection. You have selection, do or not, but at the moment we have to be shall. We have to establish and maintain the contact with the authorities. And on this screen, maybe I can share a couple of information about the structure of the standards. It also changes. If you look at the clause of control of the name is like on the 5.1, contact with authorities, and the attribute table over there. But at the moment, attribute table actually located, but we are not use it in the standard if we are is new established or the during the transition period. That's not meaning at the moment actually. I believe in the some updates that our attribute table also getting meaning or some formulas in the controls. So control area still is same, purpose and guide and other information areas still same as old version. So if you go into detail actually on the structure, we'll see, and also the attribute categories over there, but Tolga has mentioned that, so I don't want to be repeat the Tolga share it. But I can say is the use of the attributes table is not a mandatory at the moment. In the future, I believe so there is some meaning or useful part, the controls or audit or new establishment process. So on the Annex A controls, I'm sorry. Yeah. We have four main controls, is A5 is organizational control. I just focus on the new and the changes. So there are 47 controls under the A5. We are starting with A5.1 is policies of information security, is still same in the X version. And 5.2 information security roles and responsibilities still is same. We have to divide the roles. We have to give and rise the person who take care of the roles in the management system, like internal auditor or the management representative and similar things. And 5.3 is segregation of duties, still is same condition. There isn't any changes. And 5.4 is management responsibilities, still in the same condition, and also we are still looking on the leadership of the management and the responsibilities and the supplement and so on. And the 5.5 is contact with the authorities, still same condition with the similar the X version. There isn't any changes. We have to be take care of the list and address the ownership of the contact with the authorities in the organization. So 5.6 is contact with the special interested groups, still in the same with the X version, and we have to have addressing the special interest group like SOMES or maybe HP, Cisco on similar brands, forums, and so on. Address ownership and the follow-up methods in the organization, maybe structure, routines, or some automatic methods. So 5.7 threat intelligence is new. That part needs to be some external services actually. Maybe the company has some external services like my company name in the going somewhere as the deep web, or my URL similar names is all distributed, or email account is created, or some social media accounts created, or similar things. This control is required with the new version. So 5.8 is information security in the project management. With the X version is still same. We have to take care of the project management, information security base. Someone else need to be part of the project level and getting some different perspective or any risk or similar things before they realize the project. 5.9 is changed, this minor change actually, as a before is asset inventories. Right now, inventory of information and other associated assets. So information is critical things. The Tolga is mentioned it is privacy and cybersecurity wording adding the header of the standard at the moment. So this comes actually information because of that. And the inventory right now, there isn't just the servers, laptops, and so on. So 5.10 is again small changes on it, acceptable use of information and the other associated assets. So as a before is just focusing on asset. Right now is information, is the R&Ds and process is also important and needs to be take care of it regarding the 5.10. And then 5.11 return of asset is debit process, and there's some thing has happened with the employment termination process and so on. We had to take care of the assets. So 5.11 classification of information, and actually 12, 13, and 14, actually we have to get three of them together. We have to classify of the information like public, secret, top secret, and also labeling. We have to classify or generate the methodologies of it, the classification, and the labeling comes through with it. And also transfer of the information with the labeling process. We have to say, okay, if top secret, we have to use these methodologies. If it's public, not need anything, or encrypted, or password protected, or shared with the secure ways, and so on. And 5.15 is access control scheme, still same with the X version. We have to follow up on the access control process and keep the records as evidence. 5.16 identity management, still same. Each person has to use their own user accounts with all systems. And then 5.17 is new controls, authentication information. These are actually with the password policies, complexity, two-factor authentication, and so on. Controls comes with actually 5.16 and the 5.17. The authentication informations are we have to deal actually together. 5.18 is access right, is similar, small changes, but not need to be actually focused on it. Access rights, still we have to follow up and the periodically review of the all systems what we manage user access. There's still same condition if any changes in the organization or the role change of the users or termination process, forgetting some delayed process of the account, we have to use the access right process. Evidence of the we are reviewing and we are secure part of the organization. So 5.19 information security in the supply relation is still same in the X version. We have to take care of deal with the suppliers with the information security rules, main focus our with the contract. The contract is main focus point, and regarding this contract, we have to deal with the security controls with the supplier relationships. And 5.20 and 21 also the same, addressing information security within the supplier agreements and also managing information security in the ICT supply chains. The ICT supply chain actually 5.21 is focusing if you are getting services specifically the IT part like the databases, networks, firewalls, and similar things, you have to be care of an additional maybe NDAs or an additional way of the preventive actions. You have to take it and move on to your company in secure area. And 522 is small changes on it, monitoring, review, and change management of the supply services, still actually similar of the X1. And then 5.23 is information security for use cloud services is new standards. As I before, if you say, okay, I'm using the cloud services and we have to take care of it with the supply management and similar thing. But at the moment, it's cloud services. If you are using, you have to be sure if something has happened, are you able to getting these data, or something happened to that company, how they are taking to your backup, disaster, and so on. 5.24 is small changes again, information security incident management, planning, and preparation. So if something has happened, if some information security incidents happen, the plan and the action, who will take care of the roles, and if the person is unreachable, are there any backup plan? And a similar thing is still same, just the name is changed, but the controls are same as with the standard. So 5.25 is same assessment and the decisions of information security events. There isn't any changes on it. 5.26 is response of information security incidents, still same with the standards. And 27 is learning from information security incidents, still same. Something that will be happen is bad things will be happen. At the end, we have to learn that's bad things to and educate to us. At the end, if something happen, we don't have to forget it. Will be happen again. Because of that, we have to track of how it's happened, why it's happened. Are there anything we have to implement additional controls to obstacle that? Because if something is happened, you will be unsure is happen with the same way. So 5.28 is collection of evidence. That's important things. If something has happened, we have to prepare our infrastructure collecting the evidence, because we have to understand where is coming, where is start, or where is our weakness, weak places of it. It's infrastructure or person related or social media or firewalls. We have to track all the evidence. We have to review all the logs and understand why is happening. So 5.29 is small changes. Information security during the disruption is changed. In the normal operational period, we are take care of everything. We are taking the logs, we have a disaster center, but something is happening. If it's lost the ideal data center or so on. If you're going to disaster, or if you need to running on the replication places, or if you're running on the cloud sources, small parts, that time is happen to we are able to get into information security logs, and same as it is we are on the normal operation. And 5.13 is the new control, ICT readiness for business continuity. Business continuity is important things, because if something is happen, we have to have spare devices or HA cluster infrastructure like a firewall, a core switch, or servers. So this control is new, but the business continuity, we have on the X control. So these are common with it, and we have to be sure we have spare devices and also infrastructure and ISPs, and everything is had a clustered topology. So 5.31 is still same legal, statutory, regulatory, and contractual requirements, still same with X control. So 5.32 is intellectual property, is still same with X control. And 5.33 is protection of the records, still same, and is important. Records really important are logs, admin logs, user logs, server logs. All these records must be kept for to understand what's going on in the organization. And then 5.34 is privacy and protection of the PII. These are the important things, as before also. And we have these controls actually with X standard, but with privacy and the PII and the protection wording, right now we have an new standards, and we have to care of the privacy of the PII. Actually, this new version actually providing with the general data protections with the UK, or GDPR with Europe, or even the Turkey's KVKK. 5.35 is independent review of the information security, is still same with the X controls. 5.63 is compliance with the policies, rules, and standards for information security, same with the X control. So 5.37 is documented operating procedure, is still same, and these are the covering actually all documents what create for the management system. So A6 is human controls. Let's review of are there any changes on that. So is 6.1 is screening. Screening is the important things. If you hire someone else, we have to be sure we are getting the right person, the right roles, and then physical and technical controls need to be in line with it. And 6.2 terms of condition of the employment and employment contract, and the privacy and NDAs is really important for this part. And 6.3 is information security awareness, education, and training. This is the same actually with the X standards. So we have to be sure all employees within the scope, we have to giving them to awareness training and educate them as needed, as minimum once a year. So 6.4 is discipline process. Discipline process, I believe every company has, but regarding the ISMS, we are focusing on the discipline process with if something happened like incident or negligent, or users try to destroy our systems, that time that discipline is giving to enough response to them. In the ISMS, we are looking at the disciplinary process actually regarding such kind of issues happen. We have a rule and we know what we have to do to them. And 6.5 is responsibilities after termination or changes of the employment. This is still same with the X standard, and we have to take care of the all assets which we give to them, and also we have to close user accounts and taking preventive controls with the termination time. 6.6 is confidentiality or non-disclosure agreements. That's really important. We have to getting signature from each users, each staff, the confidentiality agreements. If they are taking additional roles or working with the like IT or similar critical positions, we have to be non-disclosure NDA agreements with them, additional rights giving to our company, and also the users needs to be attention with this portion. So 6.7 is remote working. During the remote working, what we have to do, we have to deal with this control, and also still same with X controls, X standards. So 6.8 information security event reporting, still same with the X standards. So A7 is physical controls. Let's have a look what we have. 7.1 is physical security perimeters, still same conditions with the X1. We have to generate policies or procedures. What will be our physical security overall? What is our methodologies, or how we are dealing with it? 7.2 is physical entry. Where is the entries? How is the rules? We are taking the records, or someone is stuck on the security area and calling to someone else, and similar things we have to deal, and we have to take a note with it. 7.3 is securing offices, rooms, and facilities, still same with the X controls. So 7.4 is physical security monitoring, is NIV, is actually addressing to CCTV systems or approach of the building or places or internal places like a system room, some corridors, or secure areas. 7.5 is protecting against physical and environmental threats. This is still same with the X controls. 7.6 with the working in secure areas, still same. We have to taking precautions with the securing in the offices, working areas, meeting rooms, and so on. 7.7 is clear desk and clear screen in the still same with the X controls. 7.8 equipment, seating and protection is still same situation with X control, and this important. We have to be care of the devices if is not a ownership or general users or the public use of the like a printers or public devices, maybe the access point and similar devices. We have to take a precaution of the caring to attack these devices. And 7.9 is storage media is new one, so we will say that is the storage or the archive areas. 7.11 is supporting utilities, still same with X standard. 7.12 cabling security, that's really important. We have to be sure is energy cable, data cable, or internet on similar cables for the communications have to be secure, and also there is spare cabling methodologies needs to be different places. Like if it comes from the north, the other cables comes to be south. And then 7.13 is equipment maintenance, the maintenance time. We have to be secure our devices. If we are going to the maintenance device, maybe taking the hard drive on it, or if additional precaution like a BitLocker or similar encryption method, we have to be, we have to feel we are in the secure area, but taking additional control like removing the hard drive, or if we are selling our inventory each 2 years or 3 years, we have to be removing hard drives or using the secure wipe methodologies to deleting all our data, even to license, because we don't have any rights to selling or the licenses. So 7.14 is secure disposal or reuse of equipment. As I mentioned, actually, we have to take care of the methodologies, disposal of the equipment, secure ways, maybe third-party companies, or the secure wipe methodologies with the right USB keys or something like that. Or we have to destroy these hard drives if we are selling the device. During the reuse period also, the standard is required to, some methodologies of the company have to be implemented that methods. A8 is technological control. 8.1 is the new control users, endpoint devices. These are the laptops, hard drives, tablets, and similar devices. We will think about that. So we have to take into list asset inventories and if the devices and how we care of the devices, we have to generate some methodologies. 8.2 is privileged access right, is still same with the X control. 8.3 is information access restriction, still with the same with X control. 8.4 is access to source code, still with the X standards, and we have to be sure if our company is developing codes, additional controls needs to be implemented regarding these controls. So 8.5 is secure authentication, still the same. 8.6 is capacity management, still same, and also most of the companies starting to using the cloud services. Because of that, these controls, let's say, is not important as even. So at the moment, the virtualization platforms or cloud platforms, it's easy to upgrade the sources as RAM, CPUs, or disk size. Because of that, these controls still same and not important as before. And then 8.7 is protection against malware, still same. We have to be used and central management malware softwares. And 8.8 is management of technical vulnerabilities, still is same condition, penetration test or internally some maybe team, maybe some softwares needs to be scan the vulnerabilities of the organizations, internal or sometimes this external check needs to done. 8.9 is new controls and configuration management. We have to be sure we are going to create a topology. We have to create a configuration if we are implementing new system. We have to work on the paper. When we are sure, we have to start implementing that period. And after implementation, we have to be review of it on the paper and realize are there any differences. We have to take a note and we have to be improve our operations. 8.10 is information deletion is new. Actually, this comes from the GDPR and similar regulation. If the users, staff, or your customers is requesting to remove everything regarding them, is back into the consent of them, so that time you have to delete their information or you have to mask them. You have to change the information connection with the real person. So 8.11 is new control, is the data masking, is again it comes with regarding to regulations. If the again is same as 8.10, if the staff users is asking to removing their data, if we are unable to remove, so we have to mask it. These are the most of them is software. If you make it on the databases or if manual methodologies, we have to be create methodologies regarding to this control. 8.12 is new data leakage prevention. The DLP software at the moment is must. So we have to find a way to keep our data secure way. If something just happened, if staff or someone else trying to getting bunch of data from us, this kind of software will inform to us as a monitoring or the blocking level. This kind of software is working with the information classification. Actually, that classification is running through with these controls. So 8.13 is information backup, same as the X version. So 8.14 is redundancy of processing facilities, is same as the X version. We have to be prepare our organization as a redundancy and also business continuity, some part of related this control. So 8.15 is logging, same as the X control. 8.16 is monitoring activities is new. Actually, with the monitoring activities at the moment is called the CN. So in our infrastructure, a database, firewall, or network level, or maybe the VPN level, if something has happened, these CMs have to collect all logs and correlate the information which we understood or generate some alerts regarding our risk methodologies. And then 8.17 clock synchronization still same with the X control. 8.18 use of the privileged utility programs still with the same X controls. 8.19 installation of the software on the operational system still is same. We have to be sure the all controls is in place. Unattended users able to install software, because that software unlicensed, if unlicensed, that will be headache to us with the each of the penalty fees regarding to that software, or maybe some cracks and generate some malware issues or the virus issues. 8.20 is network security, still same controls. 21 and 22 is actually we can three of them using the three of them the same time, is the security of the network service and the segregation of the networks. Segregation is maybe the physically will be distribution, or the VLAN level is able to divide our networks. So 8.23 is web filtering is new control. at the moment, the organization have to implement the web filtering methodologies, maybe category-based, user-based, somehow this depends on the company. But at the end, web filtering is new control and needs to be in place. 8.24 is use of cryptography, still is same condition with the X standard. And then 8.25 is secure development lifecycle, still is same condition as the X standard. 8.27 is secure system architecture and the engineering principle, still same. And 8.28 is secure coding is new. Actually, in the X standard, we have a A14 controls in as you know. So this is same, but just that time is more than 5 or 6 controls is covering this one. The secure coding is calling new, but A14 actually in the X control is covering this one. 829 is security testing in development and the acceptance, still is same with the X control. 830 is outsourced development, is same as the X control. At the moment, we have to think about with the management system, if we outsource it, they have to use in our system like Azure DevOps or Jira or similar things. So 831 is separation of development, test and production environments, still in the same with the X control. By the way, the development and the test will be the same place, and also production environment needs to be separately service or the system. 8.32 is change management, still in the same condition, and also as mentioned, 6.3 is the new controls, is the like a change management, but that change and this change is different, totally different. That change is purely focusing on the management system changes. This change is still in the same condition with the X1, like if the system is like a Windows 10 to 11 or databases changing to SQL to Oracle. And 8.33 is test information, still in the same. And 8.33 is protection information system during the audit testing is the new controls. This we will, couple of actual perspective, we will deal with this control, like a penetration. During the penetration test, we have to secure our system, or during our test process, we have to secure our system, or you have to actually, after the penetration or similar testing, if you are using the white box methodologies and giving to some user accounts to company, you have to change all passwords, all of them, with the strong ones after this penetration test. And these are the actual last Annex A controls with the A8. So what's next? What to do in the new version transition? Let me say a couple of things regarding this one. So transition to new version, actually there are 36 months, sorry. Yeah. So 36 months at the moment we have after the distribution of the new version, October. So at the moment, actually, still the companies try to be implement with the certification process with the new version. And you still continue with the X version, the certification process. What will happen actually after distribution in 12 months, like 21st of October 2020, the company start giving the certification, generate the certification with the new version. If you have the existing one, you can continue with it with the X1. Till when is 31st October 2025. There are 36 months front of us about transition, but if you are getting the new certification, if the certification body, the company like a CFE cert is ready to giving the new version, you can ask him to start the new version. So there are 10 steps actually. Let's look at each one and I can give you more detail on it. First of all, understand the changes. What kind of changes happen? That time we will deal with the staff, management system, committee, have to be trained them with the new version, maybe transition training or the new training is internal training and so on. Assess your training needs and then apply the gap analysis. Gap analysis is important because as you see, there are many changes on the Annex A controls, even in the main clauses. So gap analysis is very important things. You have to make the gap analysis first. After that, you have to start the transition process on the paperwork and infrastructure level also, you have to make changes. Review your risk assessment. If there is any changes need to be taken care of over there, you have to evaluate. And update your risk handling plan. Update your statement of applicability because it's totally changed. Maybe you have excluded controls with the X standards. That time, most of them is none, and also new controls is 11 of them. So you have to update your statement of applicability. Plan your transition control and also complete audit, apply necessary changes, this internal one. And then, congratulations, announce your new version is alive. And then focus on the continuous improvement because the management system actually focusing on the continuous improvement is the major one. So if you look at the is wording level, let's say, so familiarize yourself with the new version, even with the 27001 and 2, and help your team to understand the changes with training, internal training, or external trainings. Gap analysis is really important, and also 27002 is Annex B also could be the guidance. So ensure your risk assessments, and also look at the evidence of including and exclude necessary controls. Really, that's really important. If still is exist or not, or new controls or new changes. That control if changes with the new version, that needs to be taken care of it. And then conduct the external audit, internal audit, sorry, and MRM to see if changes implemented effectively. Internal audit, maybe that transition period, you have to have a couple of times internal audit to understand if the company or organization is ready to that changes. And contact one of the certification bodies, schedule your transition audit. Your auditor confirms implementation of newly chosen control, their alignment with the ISMS. And then check the auditor feedback, and based on the results, and again, it's congratulations, you have a transit to new version. So transition period like this, but if you don't have any certification at the moment, what is the life cycle of the new certification process? Let me give a couple of information regarding this one. First of all, the certification credit is 3 years. The first year is, we are called it initial period. So it started with the stage 1, and then pre-audit, and then audit plan, and then stage 2 audit is complete, and initial certification process is completed actually. After that is second year, audit plan shared with the company, and this is the first surveillance audit. And then third year is audit plan shared with the company, and surveillance audit is realized. This second surveillance audit, and the company is going to do renew period after that. During this process, actually surveillance audit 1 and surveillance audit 2, you are able to extend your scope, and you can add the new places to your organization, or maybe some excluded controls will be included to your ISMS. So with this is the last one which I want to share information. Thank you for your attention, and then thank you very much.
If I can just add, like I mentioned in the beginning of this training webinar, there will be a quiz that I will be sharing the link to. Upon completing the quiz, you will be getting a certification for attending this webinar. Thank you, Ms. Halis, by the way. Very good explaining. very enjoyed that. And thank you everyone for spending your time and listening to us. Yeah, thank you too.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, please join the quiz to receive the certification. If you have any more questions, please feel free to contact us through the contact information you see on the screen. If there's anything that we can do, we're glad to help you with anything that you may have on your mind.
If you have any question at the moment, actually, maybe a couple of questions we will accept.
No questions, I think.
Yeah, looks like, yeah.
Yeah, and I believe that's because you explained it so well. Then have a good night, everyone. Thank you for listening again.
Thank you very much, everyone.